You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama's syndicated news talk leader, Phil. I don't know what, I'm back. I think I had to refresh. Yo, yo, yo. Are we on? We are. Oh, that's so good. That's the thing that happens when you're doing a remote broadcast. So, but let me just start all over again. Phil Williams here, live in the special Rightside studio in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Yes, that's right, covering down on all the issues, and like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. So I guess lesson learned there. As Butters is running the board, I'm sitting over here doing my board. I need to refresh my board next time when it sits idle for a while. Butters, how you doing, man?
Ask me after we don't have any more technical issues. It's great to have you calling in from Tuscaloosa.
Well, I'm proud to be here, and yeah, it's too much fun taking the entire, I call it studio in a box, and bringing it down here and setting it up. But yeah, folks, we are, listen, disclosing our location would be contrary to national security. Here we are broadcasting from a top secret location, but it is in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I can see the stadium from here, so that's kind of give you an idea. Anyway, got a great show laid on for you, and I tell you, it's going to be interesting because everything's going to be in flux right now. Just so you know, we've got any number of things that you're going to want to be listening in for, not the least of which is the fact that coming up at 2:20, like right after the monologue, U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville calling in for a few minutes, talking about the fact that he just literally made a huge decision yesterday to go ahead and release his hold on military promotions, most of them, not all of them, but most of them. Going to get his commentary on that just for a few minutes before we hit the bottom of the hour break, after which our friend Becky Garrettson, executive director from the Eagle Forum, will also be on with us to kind of dialogue about that for a little bit. I absolutely expect there will be some drop-ins. We may very well have, I've got several folks like Chairman of the Alabama Republican Party, John Wall, is likely to stop in. Todd Stacy from Alabama Daily News, who may or may not be able to stop in, but we'll just take those as they come because that's the way it works, and it's just good doings. All right, brother. Listen, we all good on your end there, Butters?
Yeah, man. We're
all right, brother. Let's. We got a little bit of a delay, but just want to make sure that before I jump into my monologue, I'll just tell you guys. It is an honor to do this, and is it easy? No, and technology is what it is, so we're going to work with today's show, but I fully expect, since we've done this before, that it'll work out just fine. In the meantime, let me just tell you before I do my monologue here that, as always, the daily monologue brought to you by Southern Immediate Care. Southern Immediate Care, a chain of clinics that covers pretty much our whole huge swath of our listening area, which is a big listening area. But Southern Immediate Care, with locations like Gadsden, Anniston, Natala, 5 locations around the Birmingham area. Listen, they're open 7 days a week. They're owned by a Rightside ruffian, let me just tell you that. If you need medical attention 7 days a week, Southern Immediate Care, which, by the way, no kidding, this is who I use personally. Southern Immediate Care, and they are the sponsor of the daily Rightside Way monologue. All right, so let me jump in here and just say this. So the other day, I saw a picture on social media, and it was one of those thousands of pictures that comes up in your feed every day, right? But it stuck with me. And it was just a picture of a guy, a normal-looking guy holding up a sign. So in a minute, I'll tell you what that sign said. But for now, I just got to tell you that it got me to thinking in a big way. And somewhere in those meditations and ruminations, I remembered a movie. Okay, so here we go. You ready? 1982. The movie that was the ultimate date movie at the time was An Officer and a Gentleman. It had plenty of romance for date night aspects, but it also had plenty of fights and military jargon just to make the guys happy enough. But it was also really good. Starred Richard Gere, Deborah Winger, Louis Gossett Jr. Gossett actually received an Academy Award for his role back when that meant something special. So in the movie, Richard Gere played a guy named Zach Mayo. And Mayo had grown up in an abusive home. He had to learn to fight on the streets. He was a rough as a cob kind of character who decided one day that the way out of his plight was to join the Navy. And specifically, he wanted to be an aviator. Well, he had an abusive father who had mocked him growing up, told him he'd never make it. But he was accepted to the officer candidate school, and when he was there, he met a Marine drill instructor, the one played by Louis Gossett Jr. So Gossett's character had the streetwise Mayo pegged right away, looked for every opportunity to kick him out, but Mayo kept kind of persevering. But Mayo was riding a razor's edge, with street smarts keeping him on the edge of honor violations. And the bottom line is the drill instructor finally caught him. And so began a weekend of unmerciful hazing, the kind of hazing that drill sergeants can't do anymore because it might hurt somebody's feelings. And then came the fateful moment, though, with Mayo on his back doing flutter kicks, soaking wet from sweat and being hosed down by a fire hose when the drill instructor told him there was nothing he could do. He was recommending him to be dismissed from the course. I mean, what happened next, though, is the reason I'm telling you all this. In one of the best acting moments I've ever seen, Mayo dropped his facade and yelled, "Don't you do it!" And the drill sergeant yelled back at him, "Give me one good reason." To which Mayo answered with some epic emotion. He said, "'Cause I got nowhere else to go. I got nowhere else to go." It was the turning point in the entire storyline. Mayo realized and accepted and rebelled all at the same time because he had no other options. He had literally, at least as far as he knew, nowhere else to go. No other options. Mayo had sunk everything into changing his life, and this was the ticket. He was committed. And the drill sergeant suddenly realized that he wasn't just a gatekeeper to the profession of arms. In that particular moment, the drill sergeant realized he was the gatekeeper to the rest of somebody else's life. Nowhere else to go? I mean, what do you do? If that's the case, you double down, you go all in. That's what you do. Now, I won't tell you the rest of the movie. It's really worth watching if you're looking for a good weekend, couch potato kind of movie. But I told you, it was something else I saw first that reminded me of that scene, right? A guy on social media, just a dude holding up a handmade sign. And what the sign said was, and here it is, quote, "This is the USA. There is no one coming to our rescue if things go sideways. No one will be resupplying us. No one will airdrop food, ammunition, or medicine. There is no place to escape for freedom. This is it." I'm telling you, when I saw that, it really caught my attention. I mean, think about it. There are nations that would come to our aid to an extent, but there is no one who has the resources that we do. I mean, how many of us believe that it would be in our best interest if things went bad in the U.S. to go ahead and cross the border to Mexico for refuge? Canada, to our north, well, that's a socialist government by and large. I don't feel like going there. Besides, this is home. This is home. So in a day and age when we've already experienced the disaster of 9/11 right here on our own soil, and we see Iran fueling proxy wars while also running pell-mell towards their own nuclear weapons capability and shouting all the while, "Death to America," we should be building up strength and readiness, but instead, we're trapped in the throes of an administration whose prime focus with the military is to institute social justice experimentation and fight so-called climate change. Meanwhile, military recruiting's in a 50-year slump with the ranks being decimated by an ill-advised COVID vaccine mandate, woke policies, feckless leadership. But that's just part of it. How about our economic infrastructure? We currently have the most impeded supply chain in anyone's memory, coupled with crippling inflation rates, the highest we've had in over 4 decades. If Wall Street saw a major cyber attack right now, what would the recovery time be? And for those who are already living paycheck to paycheck, well, what then? I see the President of the United States himself and his progressive allies calling for ridiculous things like the packing of the Supreme Court, combined with Biden also saying that no constitutional amendments are absolute. This is a not unpredictable, not so veiled threat against the liberties that have made this nation the envy of the world. But here's the bottom line. This is the United States of America. This is the country that put a man on the moon, that fought and won 2 world wars, with resources and strength and assets unparalleled in the history of the world. If the U.S. goes down, it would mean that freedom around the world went down. There is literally nowhere else to go. And that's why I am so ardent and passionate about the fact that we must build and strategize and build some more. We must have leaders in positions of leadership, and not just feckless electors who won a popularity contest in some state or federal election. We must always and at all times examine the laws being proposed through the lens of freedom, using the measuring stick of the Constitution. We must hold true to values and principles that have made us great, not because we are scared to change, but because some things, like liberty, are just not worth changing. That's why I'm here today at the GOP debate in Tuscaloosa, because I want to see and hear and experience the folks who may well be in charge of revitalizing what I believe that Biden has been tearing down. That's why I get out of bed in the morning. That's why I remind myself and those of you listening that it's okay to say that Jesus is Lord, America's great, Alabama's beautiful, and that I believe that life is actually worth living. And by God, I will not sit idly by and just say nothing when forces, both internal or external, seek to put out the lights in the city on the hill. I agree with Mayo from Officer and a Gentleman. There is nowhere else to go. And I agree with that random sign guy on social media. There is no place to escape for freedom. This is it. That's why it's so important that we take the stands, speak up, go to the meetings, run for office, find the best candidates, build the best school systems, actually enforce the laws. And at every turn, make sure that we always make those decisions on the basis of liberty. Because this is it. There's nowhere else to go. This is our house. Defend it. And that's a wrap for the Rightside Way. Well, there you have it. Move us to the break, Butters. We're going to take the break right now. Coming back right after the break, we're going to talk to U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville, get his perspective on a few things. In the meantime, remotely from Tuscaloosa, Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. up with you after the announcement you made yesterday. So, Coach, we got about 5 minutes. Give us a spin here. What's going on?
Well, first of all, we fought hard for our military and for the unborn. That's what this was all about. I'm the executive overreach the Pentagon and the White House. They just started making laws themselves, and we fought back against that. We tried to get negotiations. That was my number one objective, to get them to negotiate the taxpayer-funded abortion policy that they just pushed through in the military. And so I could not get any time for negotiation with the president, Pentagon, or Chuck Schumer. They just could care less. And then we tried to get it. Our next option was to start a lawsuit, which hopefully that will happen. Third was to get it in the budget to change it back in the military, and that happens this week. The problem is we didn't even get to vote on it because Chuck Schumer saw that it was in the budget. He pulled it out, which you can't do. He broke the law. He just said, we're not going to vote on that. We're not going to have that in the budget for this year. And so when that happened, it was game, set, match. So we went ahead and released most of the promotions and starting another game plan. We're not giving up on this. The American people deserve the right to go by the Constitution, and the Democrat Socialist Party is really, really trying to change our country, and they're doing a pretty good job of it in terms of just running everything that we have built, our forefathers have built, and just trying to run it in the ground.
Well, and I completely agree with that. The reality is there are rules of the Senate, and the decorum and the good, order and discipline of the Senate still has to be followed. I mean, that's the reason why you were able to be successful, is because you actually recognized there was a rule you could put in play for almost a year. And you're telling us right now that Schumer basically decided to strip certain things out of the NDAA from the House on his own?
Exactly. That's what he did right up to the last minute. We had an opportunity, and I had the votes. I'd already gone around to the Democrats. I had Democrat votes. It was going to be put into the budget. He saw that I had the votes. He wasn't going to allow that win. And so instead of doing it the right way and going through proper channels, he broke protocol and said, hey, it's our way. We won the election. We're going to do it our way. So that's the reason this election, Phil, is so important coming up in this next year. We have got to take this dictatorship away from Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer and the Democratic Party, because what they're doing to pro-life, what they're doing to the military, what they're doing at the border, our foreign relations, crime, our economy is it's a disaster.
Well, Coach, I'm going to tell you again that I appreciate the stance you made. I mean, I had enough time in the military, and I've got generations of my family in the military, to where I know for a fact that readiness was not at all impacted by what you did. In fact, if anything, readiness is impacted by the way that the Biden administration is using the military. But I mean, they're out there crowing right now, and you would expect that. They're crowing, saying they beat you, that they finally got you to back down, that they got you to walk away. With about 30 seconds, you got any final comments here you want to add to that?
Well, they shouldn't crow too much, because we can start this thing all over again. But we're going to fight back. But we're going to get President Trump elected president, and we're not going to have to fight. He'll do it on day one. He'll get this abortion policy illegal and out of the military, start building our military back to we're a fighting machine that we can protect the American people, and close our border. We have to close our border. We are in war right now with the people coming in this country, all this immigration.
Well, listen, Senator, we're pretty much out of time. It was a short opportunity for you to be able to call in, but we'll get you back on for an extended conversation. In the meantime, you're welcome on Rightside. We appreciate what you've done.
Thank you, Phil. God bless.
All right, thank you. All right, well, listen, I mean, that's the thing. There was no readiness issue here. Were there people that deserved a promotion, perhaps? Yes, and they're going to get it, and they're going to be backdated. I guarantee you the Senate's going to wind up backdating their confirmations and allowing them to have, pay and benefits, and everything's going to be in place. And, oh, by the way, was there a single military unit that didn't have somebody in charge? No. But the thing you need to have probably picked up more than anything in that conversation, maybe two things. He said, we can do it again if we have to. And he also said, Schumer changed the rules in violation of the good order and protocols of the Senate. And that's got to stop. That's got to stop now. Coming up next after the break, Becky Garrettson from the Eagle Forum calling in. Y'all stay tuned. Phil Williams in Tuscaloosa. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Just covering down on some major ground across the northern half of the most beautiful, beautiful, beautiful state in the nation. This one right here, Alabama. And y'all, I mean to say, this show goes like way down south of Birmingham and up north of Huntsville and Tuscaloosa, back to Gadsden, parts of Georgia, Tennessee, and even Mississippi, all thrown in just for good measure. Well, so speaking of Tuscaloosa, that is where I am right now. So tonight, the GOP is having its fourth presidential primary debate. Only 4 people made the stage now, so the field has been winnowed down a bit. So if you're not familiar, coming up tonight, you got Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Chris Christie on the stage this evening in Tuscaloosa. I'll be in the spin room and getting a chance to sort of watch things firsthand, take notes, and I'll tell you about my experiences tomorrow. In the meantime, just know this, and Butters, I'm seeing something. We're good. Let me do this. I'm going to go straight to the phones right now, not waste any time at all. Good friend Becky Garrettson, who I first met back in the days when she was with the Wetumpka Tea Party. She is the executive director for the Eagle Forum of Alabama, and I thought I'd just get some thoughts for her from her on Tuberville. So, Becky Garrettson, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on. I listened to Senator Tuberville just a few minutes ago, and we have been just very supportive of his stand against the unanimous consent. And so I'm glad that you had him on, and I'm happy to talk about this.
Well, so let me ask you right out the gate. I've worked with the Policy Institute. You work with Eagle Forum. You were a leader in the Tea Party movement. I was a Tea Party endorsed, candidate for office. All this stuff in our background, these organizations we've been a part of. How do you feel about the fact that he has stepped back from his hold, and sort of relinquished his hold on pretty much all but 4 stars? What are your thoughts on the fact that he's stepped back from it?
Well, I wish he wouldn't have had to. I really feel like he was put in that position. But from the get-go, this was all about our Constitution. This was about the abortion policy was illegal. They shouldn't have been doing it. And he did the right thing for objecting to unanimous consent on these. But like he said, this fight is not over. And I don't know all the ins and outs of how this is going to play out. I believe it was important that, as we saw as time went on, people were able to vet some of these military leaders, and some of them are deeply bought into the woke ideology. That is what undermines our whole military and the readiness. It's not this abortion policy. And I wish we could have looked at them one by one. I think that would have been the better thing to do. So I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see how it plays out. I think the Democrats threatening to change the rule was horrible. It just shows how bought in they are to killing babies.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And I look at it too and think, all right, if you're allowed to just change the rules, then why do we have rules? I mean, there's a reason. One of the things that really struck me in the state legislature was the decorum there were times when there was not a lot of decorum on the floor of the Senate, but there were also times when it truly was. And if you didn't do it a certain way, it wasn't allowed to happen. And if you didn't say it a certain way, it didn't get said. And, you could actually try to speak, and it was not your turn to speak. I mean, there's a lot of the rules are in place. And I remember when I was a brand new freshman senator, somebody told me, they handed me the actual rules book of the Senate. And they said, if you'll memorize these rules, you can do a lot. And I hate to say it, but one of the masters at doing that was a guy named Roger Bedford, who was a Democrat. He knew the rules backwards and forwards, and he also knew, though, how to put them to use for what he wanted to do. Well, if you can just change the rules willy-nilly, then all that means is there's no sense in even having rules.
Well, and I think we've even seen that with the dress code, at the Senate, that rules have just kind of gone by the wayside, I think. Before we jump off, and I just want people to know, if they want to see our National Eagle Forum president put out a statement yesterday, and we have been working closely with Tuberville's office throughout this whole process. I mean, talking to them almost every day on, what can we do, and we are supportive and, just trying to have his back. But we posted something on alabamaeagle.org on our blog. You will see the statement that our national president said about this whole deal, and I think it's important. But anyway, back to what you were saying.
Well, and yeah, and I think there's other things too that Tuberville said in his brief time with us a few minutes ago, and we actually had him scheduled for a longer segment, but his schedule up in D.C. Got gerrymandered. But anyway, one of the things he also said was there's legal action that is being prepared right now, which I think is wise, because what that basically means is that there's someone who is willing to take it to the court system and deal with the fact that you've got a sort of a rogue element within the DOD, or at the very least the Biden administration directing traffic this way, that says, go and do these things, even though we have federal law that prevents that from happening, or supposed to. And then the other side of it is, he said, and truthfully, if we have to, we can start this process all over again. He can put his whole back in place tomorrow if he wanted to.
Yeah, that really surprised me that he said that, and that was kind of good news to my ears. Phil, one of the things that a lot of people are bringing up, and they're really being misled by the media, is this whole readiness factor. I had someone write back on something I sent out yesterday, and they said, this is really hindering military readiness. But I want to just reiterate what the Biden administration has said. First of all, that no job has gone unfulfilled. This did not hinder our readiness. Every job was being done. And General Milley even said that the readiness has been the best it's been in years. So if people are upset with him because they thought that it was hurting readiness, it wasn't. That was just a talking point from the media to get everyone upset about this. This really was about the illegal abortion policy being pushed by the military. And
well,
again,
do I remember correctly too, Becky? Aren't y'all a military family?
Yes, retired military, Air Force. Yes.
That's what I
so
thought.
This is important. This is close to home, and my husband still works with the military every day. This is very important to me. And as a patriotic American, I think it's important to many people who aren't in the military. This is a big deal. But this thing that he was doing was not leaving jobs undone. There wasn't a lack of leadership. They were still in those positions. So just put that argument to bed.
Yeah, well, and they won't. I mean, the reality is they're going to do what they can to beat him up. They're going to try and make him out to be some rube from Alabama who doesn't understand the big picture, some kind of pariah who doesn't believe that women should have, what do they call it, healthcare decision-making authorities or whatever they want to say. And so it's going to wind up. This is unfortunately where we sit on this is it's going to wind up being a he said, they said. And there's no way around it. The thing that people need to remember, though, is that with a few exceptions who were defecting at the end, like Senator Joni Ernst and a couple others, the vast majority of the Republican caucus actually stood with Tuberville on this.
They just weren't as vocal as I would have liked them to be, especially those, who say that they're pro-life. That was very disappointing to me, that they were not so often during this. And this fight lasted, 10 or 11 months. This has been going on a long time. Not necessarily the holds themselves, but this whole issue, the policy came out, I want to say, in February, and there weren't a lot of Republicans pushing back like Tuberville did.
There weren't, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, the reality is, I think that this is one of those situations where you had a whole bunch of people behind closed doors going, "Attaboy, Tommy, thanks for taking the stand for us," and not saying a lot in public. And then at the same time, you did have others who were willing to say, "Yeah, we're not gonna vote to override that. We join him in what he's doing." But at the end, he still was a man who stood by himself. And I've told people on my show multiple times that it is still possible for one man to make a difference in D.C. if you get the right moment. And it's like a Mr. Smith goes to Washington thing. You can actually get up there if you know the rules, and if you have the issues, and if you have the principles you stand on, you can actually do something and make a dent even as one person. Yeah.
And the one man who did not make a positive change was Chuck Schumer. He had the ability and the responsibility, I believe, to bring these nominations up one at a time. And he should have done that. He did not do that with a Senate meeting like 3 days a week. They could have done this. They could have bypassed all of this if it was really important to him. But as one man, he showed that it was not important. Instead, blamed it on somebody else.
Well, Yep, there it is. Well, listen, Becky, by the way, I'm going to change subject on you with about a minute and a half left. I don't know if you saw it or not. This is a total change of subject, but we just got breaking news about an hour ago that Kevin McCarthy, most recently Speaker of the House, has announced that he is resigning from Congress as effective the end of this calendar year. I don't know if you've seen that or not yet.
I have not seen that. No, I've been working on something else with my head buried in my computer and did not see that. Thank you for letting me know. But wow.
Yeah, brand spanking new information. And what that means is that our Republican majority in the House is about to get a lot slimmer as they're going to have one less vote until this. And it's a pretty decidedly Republican district where he comes from in California, but it's nonetheless, it's going to be an empty seat for a period of time.
Did he say why?
Not really. My something about the way he announced that he was, intent upon going and finding the best possible people to fill the halls of Congress for conservative values made me think that what he's about to go do is be a serious fundraiser / recruiter. But I just hope he's not going to go try and recruit, the anti-conservatives, get a whole bunch of squishy moderates. Anyway, he is officially
thanks
retiring.
For that breaking news. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow, thanks.
All right, my friend Becky Garrettson, if they want to know more about you and Eagle Forum, tell them where they can find you.
AlabamaEagle.org, and we have a big policy conference coming up on January 12th in Birmingham. So if you go to AlabamaEagle.org, you will see all about it, and we would love to have you guys come because we're going to be talking about some of the big bills we're going to be pushing this year when the legislative session begins in February. So you'll get all the talking points. You'll know why these bills are so important and why you need to get behind them or why you need to kill them. Some of the bills we're going to be talking about are ones that need to die. So
all right,
thank you so much, Phil. It's great talking to you.
You too. Appreciate the work y'all do. That's Becky Garrettson with the Alabama Eagle Forum. Glad to always have her on the show. All right, Butters, take us to a break, brother. We'll take the break right now. We'll come right back and start moving this whole situation forward. May have some walk-ins. I've already had Dale Jackson just poke his head in the door and hang out for a minute. But yeah, y'all stay tuned. Phil Williams broadcasting live from Tuscaloosa. We will be right back. are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right, just making common sense like a superpower. Well, listen, I told you guys that we would have some moments when we'd have drop-ins, and they're happening already. So proud to have right now sitting with me in the secret undisclosed location in the bunker in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Chairman of the Alabama Republican Party, John Wall. John, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Good to be on the show. Second time in person in just a couple months. That's
I
great.
don't know what to think. This is great. Yes, and you have your whole entourage here with us and everything. So
No, it's pretty bad for a farm boy to have an entourage. I don't even know what that word means.
No, you listen. A great coup. The fact that we have the national stage right here in Tuscaloosa, I'm an Auburn fan, but I'm getting over the fact that it's here in Tuscaloosa on the campus. But anyway, congrats on that.
Yeah. Oh, look, I love that this is Alabama's first ever presidential primary debate. Just raising Alabama's profile, helping us get some of the attention we deserve. When you think about what state in the union should get some Republican love, it should be Alabama, because we believe in those core principles, the ideas of freedom and liberty and protecting people's rights. And so I think it's very fitting that this debate is in Alabama.
Well, I agree. I think it's also fitting for the world to not only see us, but to actually come here and experience us. I mean, I think you're going to wind up having any number of media outlets that are going to be like, wow, this place is actually really cool. And what great hosts. So I guess everything's coming together. The stage is set. The media tent is ready. I'll be there tonight, and you guys have your own watch party for the gathering this evening.
No, that's right. With the size of the venue, it was really important to us that we included students. This is also the first debate this cycle that was on a college campus, whether Republican or Democrat, any official presidential process. With the debate, this is the first one on campus. So
Democrats don't do debates anymore.
Well, no, that's because they have their chosen one, and that's the only thing they can look at is Joe Biden.
Yeah. Well, so all right, they're on the stage here in Alabama tonight, and then we got four on the stage. I think we got Ramaswamy, DeSantis, Haley, and Christie are the four that made it. We winnowed down the field.
That's right.
What specific issues are you hoping they're going to cover this evening?
Well, I want to hear our candidates talking about the issues that are affecting people's lives, and I don't mean the establishment's talking points. I don't mean the press's talking points, and I don't even mean the consultants to these campaigns' talking points. I want to hear what the American people care about. And I think that there's a fundamental difference between that grouping, right? You have the establishment, what they care about, and then you have what is actually affecting the American people. Things like the economy, but not just token economy, like actually why it matters that we get spending under control, stop inflation, and how fiscal policy actually matters, and how cutting regulation will also help with the economy. But then I also want to hear talking about protecting children from woke policies. This is something that the past debates have really ignored. They talked a little bit about maybe school choice or this, but more fundamentally to the entire socialist agenda and how that is affecting our children and how important it is that we recognize it and fight against it. I want to hear that actually fully enforced from the candidates on stage, that they understand the battle we're in and how important it is for the future of our country.
Well, we have some pretty good moderators, and just looking for the lineup that News Nation has put together. I'm hoping that they'll ask the hard questions. Do you think they're going to wind up? These moderators strike me as the kind that are probably going to be fair, but then you always look for the zingers. So in the past, we've seen moderators that began to almost debate the debaters. Do you expect tonight to be an evening that we're going to have like solid questions, expect solid answers, and also moderators who can control the flow?
I really hope so, especially, and Megyn Kelly is a very well-known quantity within the Republican arena.
Yeah.
And she said she wants to ask the tough questions. And I assume those are not going to be tough questions like global warming or whatever the taste of today is for the liberal media.
Right.
I want to hear her digging into the Republican, asking the tough Republican questions. Maybe some of these candidates have records of voting for tax increases, or maybe they have a record of supporting woke policies. I don't mind at all if a moderator gets involved if they're talking about Republican principles and talking about candidates' actual record.
I think where it also bugs me sometimes when you see moderators that decide they want to be fact checkers in the middle of the debate.
Yeah, yes, when oftentimes they don't know the facts, by the way.
Which, yeah, or they have their own view of the facts. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Well, all right, so tonight's the big doings, and then I know you've got a full slate for the week. I think the reality is you've been the state party chairman now for a few years, and the national has taken notice, but you're also on a national committee on behalf of the National Republican National Committee. So where do you see us going next with about a minute left?
Well, hopefully we're going to go towards liberty, freedom, and a constitutional government. That's my aim, and that's what I support.
That's high expectations.
Hey, look, you got to set the bar high because it's hard to convince a bunch of RNC members who may not share your constitutional views of how important it is and how important it is to the American people. Because there's a disconnect between the political ruling class and the grassroots supporters. And I'm here to tell you, the Alabama Republican Party, it's easy to be grassroots because that's who we are.
Well, John Wall, again, congratulations on getting this here. We're about to head into a break right now, but I appreciate you just popping in. I know you got a busy day. You already finished one press conference. You got multiple other things you got to do, plus there's the event tonight. I think you have events tomorrow, and God knows where next.
Yeah, well,
maybe you'll get back to your day job one day soon.
Hopefully I can actually make a living and maybe celebrate Christmas. That's
yes,
my goal.
The greatest unpaid job in the history of the United States. But anyway, John Wall, chairman of the Alabama Republican Party, thanks for your time. We appreciate you. Best of luck tonight.
All right, always good to be on the show.
All right, good to see you, man. All right. Well, listen, you heard it. We're headed into the break here momentarily, but we may have some more drop-ins. I don't know. Dale Jackson just showed up again, so there ain't no telling what's going to happen in this studio. But in the meantime, Phil Williams broadcasting live from T-Town here in Alabama. Tonight's GOP Republican primary. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama's syndicated news talk leader Phil Williams here live in the special Right Side studio in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, covering down on all the issues. And yeah, like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, listen, text lines are indeed open. Let me just go ahead and just let you know right now, apologies in advance. I am not able to see the text lines from my location today. So if you're texting one in, Butters can answer them, and he can also let me know occasionally when we see one come in that he wants me to make sure I know about. But in the meantime, calling, texting, both the same number, 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. Yeah, so I'm down here in Tuscaloosa, which is pretty cool. And by the way, there's always that moment. I don't know if y'all were listening to the very beginning of the show, but there's always that moment. You're like, everything's working. I've got it all set. It's all good. We did sound checks. Technology appears to be cooperating. And then you go on the air and nothing's there. So we're gonna keep plugging along, but right now I think we're working pretty good. And my brother Butters is running things back yonder in the Right Side studio. Butters, how are you doing today? I didn't even have a chance to really ask you.
Man, I'm doing great. And speaking of the technical difficulties, John from Huntsville did text in and say that you got 5 extra credit points for the monologue, which compensates for the 5 points deducted for the technical difficulties. So,
so it's a wash.
Yeah, we're an even A plus. And he says, also, Phil, do you think there's going to be any Florida State fans at the University of Alabama tonight?
You know, I'm not going to be a bit surprised to find out there's a mini protest. And I think it will actually go nowhere because all 3 people will find out that nobody cares and they're going to go home. That's that. What's funny is this is a national scene tonight. Lots of security. Roads are closed off in certain places. Had a little bit of a nut roll trying to find my way into the right spot, but I found it obviously. But I don't know that we're going to see any protests in good old red state of Alabama. I think if we were up there in New York City, not Florida State, but like pro-Palestinian or pro-abortion or whatever. But being here in Tuscaloosa on a college campus with lots of security, I think things are lined up to be okay.
Nice.
Just my thoughts.
Nice.
Yeah. And by the way, I did not say it earlier, but we actually do have a triple dipper for the day, and I don't know how it's going to work. I tell you what, let's do the triple dipper. Butters, hit it.
The Triple Dipper. 3 stories you've got to know.
That's right, the Triple Dipper, 3 stories, 3 themes, if you will, that you got to know as we run today's show. So here's the deal. I'm going to start off with number 1, talking about it, debating the debates. Are debates worthwhile? I mean, there's a whole lot of time and energy being put into this. Daggum, just Right Side Radio is separating itself from its usual, routines and jumping on down here to be a part of things. But there's any number of people going to great expense to make tonight a stellar event. But do they matter? We'll talk about that here in a moment. And then, assuming we can keep the flow going, because like I said, I may have some pop-ins and I may have some folks just dropping in on the secret studio here. Transnationals. Well, you can tell where I'm going with that topic. Transnationals. What is happening with this transgender agenda? It just seems like every single day there's a new storyline, there's a new issue, there's a new something that you look at and go, what in God's name is happening? Well, maybe I should say it's not in God's name, but there's that. And then number 3 on the Triple Dipper, I can get to it. Have you heard the story about the guy who back in, 2016? 2014? Anyway, 2016. He did a meme. A meme. You know what a meme is? It's just a picture on social media that jokingly told people, hey, go ahead and vote early and vote online. And he's about to spend time in jail because it is being called a collusive conspiracy effort to defraud voters from going to the polls. Y'all, I look at the January 6th convictions and all that are happening, and I'm thinking, what kind of world are we living in? But when I see things like the dude made a meme and now he's about to spend time in jail. So that's number 3 on the Triple Dipper, meme madness. And then at 4 o'clock, you know the deal, 4 o'clock every Wednesday, we got to do the thing where, oh, by the way, we do the Grand Council. And so Dale Jackson's here live. He'll sit here in the secret studio with me. Jeff Poor are going to be calling in. But yeah, Dale Jackson, Jeff Poor, myself, the Grand Council. But you know what, Butters, it occurs to me, I am so out of sync. It is Wednesday, and we need to recoup some of our stuff here. I think we have to play the camel. If you're ready, hit it.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Whoop,
Whoop, whoop. There. Now I feel better. Now I can just take a breath. Butters, we should have done that right up front just to settle me as we jumped into this secret studio.
We should have. I'm really anxious to see how you're going to get through all 3 dippers now.
I don't know that we are. I'm just going to go and confess right up front that if we get up through all 3 dippers, then it means that I was speed reading. There's no other way around it.
Well, before you jump into debating the debates, I've got a question for you.
Yeah, man.
Why should I tune in and watch this debate tonight? Or do you want to save that for your dipper?
I'll say part of that for the dipper, but I tell you what, I'll give y'all the bottom line up front. When I was, and maybe you were too, Butters, when your time in the Navy, but when I was trained to brief the senior officers, when I briefed the general, we always had to give what's called the bluff, the bottom line up front. Spend the first slide in the PowerPoint presentation telling the general what the bottom line up front is. Spend the rest of the PowerPoint presentation telling the general why the bluff is what it is. So here's the thing. The bottom line up front for me is I think debates do matter. Maybe some of them feel a little bit lackluster. Maybe some of them feel like they're just, trying to make their bones or they're yelling at each other. In the end, I think true debate in the political arena matters. And so as we debate the debates, and people can say what they want to about them, I've got a series of things here that if I can get through my material, I'll just tell you, there have been moments in time when you can look at it and see, you know what? That one moment in a public debate, that was what changed the dynamics of that particular candidate's ability to go forward. And I tell you what, while we're on that, Butters, great question. I can remember a personal experience. When I was running for the state senate, I went to hear my opposing candidate because he was speaking at my Kiwanis Club. And I went to hear him, but something about me sitting there, it was weird. When everybody sat down, I sat in the back of the room, so it wasn't like I was trying to intimidate him or whatever else. But lo and behold, it's like there was like a parting of the Red Sea, and I was sitting literally in the middle of the room in the very back, and nobody sat in front of me. And it's like there was a straight shot, me to him. And it just seemed like it rattled him. It unnerved him. I had people telling me afterwards they had known him for a long time and they weren't sure what to do until they saw that particular day and they decided to vote for me. There are times when debates and public presentations really do make a difference. And so anyway, there's my bottom line up front, brother, to answer your question. I say tune in because everybody on that stage right now, if something happens to Trump, I think Trump's the guy. I'm okay with Trump being elected president. I'm personally fine with that. But he's also 70, almost 78 years old, and he's also got so many attacks going on right now that if any one of these things goes south on him between now and a year from now, then one of those people on the stage tonight is going to be the next president. It matters. There you go. What do you think?
I think that's great. I think Brian from Huntsville, he twisted that and said why you should not watch the debate. His answer is if you want to marry Christmas.
Well, it's not Brian. It's come on, bro. Well, listen. There's plenty to hang on to there, and I'll tell you what. We'll go ahead and take the break right now. We'll come right back, and I'll jump on in, and then if anybody pops in the studio, we'll just take them as they come. In the meantime, call it, text it. Butters will update me, but we'll take a break right now. Come right back. Number one, Triple Dipper, debating the debates. I'll tell you about a few debates in history that seem to have actually made a difference. Y'all stay tuned. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio in Tuscaloosa. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. I mean, like saving the world one soundbite at a time. Hey, by the way, folks, I got to tell you, before we even jump in here, I want to make note of some breaking news. This has been a day full of breaking news. Not the least of which is I don't know all the details yet, but there is a breaking news story up on the big screen on the wall here right now, and the lovely Charlene also made me aware of it. There's been an active shooting incident at University of Nevada, Las Vegas, UNLV. And so, right now what we understand is that the shooter himself is dead, but there may have been a couple of other casualties. They do believe that the active shooter event is over, but you hate to see it, and I don't know the details. We'll find out more, and as we see them, we'll let you know. But that is an incident that occurred just today and is still developing as we speak. But we do understand, though, the shooter is dead. The other two pieces of breaking news are purely political. Kevin McCarthy, most recently Speaker of the House of Representatives, who was the first person in the history of the United States to be dethroned, if you will, by a vote of his own, members. Speaker of the House McCarthy had to step down. Well, he announced today he's resigning from Congress altogether. And I don't mean like finishing out his term. Apparently, he's resigning effective January 1. So, and I don't know, I'll be honest with you. I don't know, how it'd be hard to stay. Let's put it that way. It'd be hard to stay, but you still stay. Even on days when you don't feel like being there because you feel like maybe you weren't treated right, because that's some way I'm sure he feels, you still look at it and go, dude, you signed up for a gig. What's the deal? Where are you going? Well, I don't know where he's going, but the indications are that he is going to be in some position of, recruiting and development of the Republican candidates for Congress in the future. He is known as being a prolific fundraiser. But still, I mean, he doesn't have what I would call the true support of the conservative base. So my hope is he's not going to be out there looking for a bunch of Mitt Romneys and Liz Cheneys and Adam Kinzingers. I mean, surely not. I don't think even he is that feckless, not at all. But that being said, we're seeing our slim majority in the House of Congress that is. About to get a lot slimmer. I mean, he's not waiting through the end of his term. He's saying he's done as of January 1, is my understanding. And then the third thing is Alabama-based here, but U.S. Senator Katie Britt today officially endorsed Donald Trump as president. That makes every member of Alabama's U.S. delegation, except for Terry Sewell, who's a Democrat, have all now endorsed Donald Trump for president. He's sweeping up these endorsements left and right. Does it mean something? I think it means something. I think it does. And Katie Britt is also extremely popular, not only in her own state, but she's becoming very popular nationwide. I'm not going to be a bit surprised to see her on the campaign trail with him after he wins the primary. But that being said, U.S. Senator Katie Britt has chosen to openly now endorse Donald Trump for president. And so that brings me back to where we are today. Do debates matter? And you heard me a moment ago when Butters asked me the question, do debates matter? Why should I tune in tonight? I've got a piece here. This one actually came from the Boston Herald, believe it or not. It was dated August of this year. And the headline is, do presidential debates matter for 24? This particular author, I'm taking issue with. This particular author, his stance is, well, since Trump's got it in the bag, then the debates don't really matter as much. I differ. And here's why. I mean, I'm looking at what he says. At the end of his article, he says, Trump's solid lead in the Republican primary and the constant domination of the news coverage have forced other candidates to seek ways to reach voters outside traditional news outlets and change the significance of presidential primary debates in the 2024 cycle. But it's the era of Donald Trump. Primary debates have become about the spectacle, the performative clashes, the personalities, and the snappy comebacks, which many believe are what sealed Trump's nomination. Clashes between candidates are amplified and played out in the 24-hour news cycle. But he also points out that Trump has an overwhelming majority right now, like not just like double digits, like 10 points. We're talking like double digits, like 40 points depending upon which poll you're looking at. But it points out, too, in the article, there have been some pretty unskilled debaters, like, George W. Bush was never known for being Mr. Oratory, or Mitt Romney, who, even though he was a smooth operator, but then there was John McCain, who, gosh, I mean, that guy, he was about as wooden as they come. But nonetheless, they became the nominees. I look at this right now, and I think, first of all, I think debates matter because you want to know that under duress, which is what debates can sometimes create, under duress, that someone knows how to fire off an answer, that someone has taken the time to prepare. Like, did you see the one with Gavin Newsom and Ron DeSantis last week? To me, that was one of the best debates that I've seen that I can remember. Both men had obviously prepared. I think DeSantis had been far more prepared than Newsom. I think Newsom thought he was going to come in there and be schmarmy and he'd just be able to charm his way right through. Didn't quite work. But what we saw there was a true debating of the issues. I think it mattered. But tonight, you got four people who are, generally speaking, with some nuances, kind of the same, each one wanting the spot. Well, first of all, as a candidate, everybody knows that they are not likely to get the spot right now. But then secondarily, there are other spots. When you come out of a presidential campaign like this, you have raised your profile. You have become a national figure. You could run again for something later. But then again, you may also run for something now and then get picked to do something else, like a cabinet level position or a vice presidential position. And you still want to know how these people matter or what they think and whether or not they can hold their own. So, yeah, I disagree with the dude from Boston Herald. Muncie was his name. I think the reality is that these do matter. In a minute, when we come back from this next break, I'm going to tell you about some of the historical debates that we've seen and moments in time when it actually apparently made a difference to the whole campaign. Like a thing happened and the audience laughed at a candidate, or an audience reacted negatively to a candidate, or a zinger went out there that became such a great meme that it just kind of carried the day. Yes, there are moments in debates where sometimes they can look canned, but if you do it right, you can carry the day. So yeah, me personally, I say tune in tonight. If you're not a political junkie, and I get it, watch a few minutes. Get your fill and turn it back off. But what I don't want to do is see a whole bunch of folks just go into the polls and then wondering, did I make the right decision? If you research your candidate, watch what they're saying and doing, and you get to the polls and you cast your vote, then you have done it as a well-informed voter, and that's what matters. And debates, they help that. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. listening to Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Just, I mean, like y'all, covering down on some major ground across the northern half of the most beautiful state in the nation, Alabama. The one where they're hosting the national debate tonight, right here in Tuscaloosa. And I mean, this show goes like way down south of Birmingham and up north of Huntsville and Tuscaloosa, back to Gadsden parts of Georgia, Tennessee, even Mississippi, all thrown in just for good measure. We are cruising our way through a special day as I'm broadcasting live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, here on the campus of the University of Alabama. Tonight, the GOP primaries debates are coming to the campus. Going to be on the national stage. Got a number of top names that are coming in to Megyn Kelly and Elizabeth Vargas from News Nation are coming in to moderate this particular debate. And I look forward to it, to be honest with you. I got press credentials. Dale Jackson and I are both down here, and we'll both be sitting in the spin room. I don't know that we'll interact with any candidates. We'll see what happens. But the bottom line is it's going to be cool to be here, and I'm personally pleased to be a part of it. That being said, I get asked all the time, like Butters even a minute ago, says, why should I tune in? Well, let me just tell you about a few debates that seem to have turned the corner for one candidate or hurt one candidate in such a way that they were deemed to be, pretty solidly effective, and the debate actually mattered. There was one in 2016. So Chris Christie was running for president then too. Marco Rubio was also running for president. Rubio got up, and Rubio's an effective speaker. I've always thought that he is. He's pretty solid in terms of being able to speak eloquently, quickly, on his feet. He can kind of move and dance with the moment. But Chris Christie called him out hard. So in this particular 2016 debate, Chris Christie looked over at Marco Rubio, who had used the same kind of like talking point line, which you look at it, all right, you practice for a debate. If you're really skilled, you practice for the debate. Maybe there are certain things that stick in your head, and you say them, and you don't even realize you're saying them more than once. But nonetheless, whatever happened, Rubio said the same thing more than once about the fiction that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing with a policy. Well, there's nothing wrong with the statement except that Chris Christie grabbed the moment. And Chris Christie, as bombastic as he is, and he's not going to get, I don't want him to be president, but the reality is the guy has been in courtrooms for many years dealing quickly on the spot with contentious other lawyers and sometimes judges. And he came back just boom. And he says, this is what we're looking at right here. He's got a memorized 25-second speech. It's exactly what his advisors gave him to say. Well, the audience laughed at Rubio. It wasn't just that they were laughing with Christie. They were laughing at Rubio, and it was seen as one of those moments that hurt the Rubio campaign significantly, and it happened during a debate. How about 1992? 1992, yeah, Bill Clinton versus Jerry Brown. Jerry who? Yeah, Bill Clinton, former governor of Arkansas, and Jerry Brown, former governor of California. Jerry Brown was seen as the guy. He was the one who was probably going to be the more high-profile Democrat to run. They were running against Republican George H.W. Bush, who was still pretty popular because he had, effectively presided over the first Gulf War. And then they get on stage. And now, you and I both know that Hillary Clinton is a pariah to Republicans everywhere. We don't care for her, generally speaking. We're so glad she was never elected president. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine if we were just finishing up the final term of a Hillary Clinton presidency? Good gosh. But at the time, no one really knew who she was. She was just that figure in the background who had been the first lady of Arkansas, who had some questionable dealings with her Rose law firm. But Jerry Brown got up on the national stage and began to accuse Clinton of funneling money to his wife's law firm for state business. Well, on the one hand, you think, reasonable, I get it, for it, or just had himself a moment in time where he grabbed the right thing to say. And he comes back and says, let me tell you something, Jerry. I don't care what you say about me. I knew you were going to try to reinvent yourself and you were going to be somebody else's mouthpiece. You'd say anything. But you ought to be ashamed of yourself for jumping on my wife. You're not worth being on the same platform as my wife. Well, it grabbed everybody's attention. And Clinton rose to the top of the polls. And it happened during a debate. Then there are moments where you look at it and go, holy cow, that was just hilarious. Walter Mondale, 1984. Walter Mondale is running for the Democratic nomination, and one of his opponents, the lead opponent, is U.S. Senator Gary Hart. And Gary Hart had, kind of had an upset win in the primaries, and Walter Mondale, who had been a vice president, was now kind of, struggling to get along, trying to get to where he could challenge President Reagan for re-election in 1984. So Gary Hart and Walter Mondale are debating. And Hart was trying to cast himself as the younger alternative to Mondale with new ideas and all the things that he could do and bring back the New Deal era of the party and yada, yada, yada. Mondale challenged him head on during a debate. And he looked at him and said, when I hear your new ideas, I'm reminded of the ad, Where's the Beef? And again, the audience laughed at the other candidate. He had a moment in time where he said something, but the derisive laughter of the audience was seen as a down point for the Hart campaign. And he had other issues in life too, and basically he's no longer on the scene, if you know what I'm saying. So there's been lots of them. I mean, I could keep going down the list, but the reality is this: you get those zinger moments. You get those kind of moments where you're wondering, how in the world do we know unless we can see or hear them? And we should see or hear them. And you should question whether or not someone has the ability to stand on a stage and react. And you should know whether or not they have a policy position you agree with. Like, for instance, Vivek Ramaswamy. I do think the guy's got a political future. I do think the guy is potentially going to be a cabinet level position and maybe should be, depending upon what it is. When he first started his campaign, while I didn't think that he was going to be the guy, at the end, at the end of the day, I was thinking, but he's still pretty sharp. I like him a lot. I want to see what he can do. I think I really like this guy. And more recently, I found his isolationist tone to be far more than I would ever want to see. So much so that I'm hearing him on the debate stage now, and I'm beginning to realize, we don't need him as president or vice president. He needs to get some salt in his life. He needs to get some experience. He needs to take some of those I got a neat ideas and actually go somewhere and do something and see if he can gain the experience it takes to come back and recognize that you can have a neat idea. But see, I'm hearing all this on the debate. Last one I'll tell you is one of the most potentially important debates of all time, they say. In fact, what's interesting is I got an article from Time magazine. It's a few years old, but the person they quote is a professor at UAB. So Professor William Benoit of the professor of communications at the University of Alabama at Birmingham was quoted this article as saying that the first debate between Kennedy and Nixon in 1960 might be one of the most important debates in U.S. history. Why? Because I believe it was one of the first debates ever televised. And so the narrative has become that what happened was those who listened to the debate on the radio felt like Nixon won. Those who watched it on TV felt like definitely Kennedy had won. What happened? Well, they said that you've got a situation where you've got the younger, more vibrant candidate. Kennedy actually wore makeup and got himself ready to go on screen. Nixon coming in being the old school guy, they say he looked old and haggard on the stage. He looked like he had kind of been worn down. And so the audience who watched on TV, when you polled them, they said, oh, Kennedy won that thing. Kennedy, he was all the way. But when you listened to the substance on the radio and you weren't distracted by appearances, then the people who listened thought Nixon won. It's saying that the biggest effect on public opinion was that it allowed Americans to see and hear the two candidates together, and the differing viewpoints were based solely upon perception in the visuals as opposed to otherwise. All right, Butters, you got a text for me? Go ahead and just read it out. It's from Gary. I can tell you put something on the board, but go ahead and just read it to me, bro. What you got?
So, kind of a counterpoint. Phil, debates
All right.
recently have simply become personal attack venues with little substance and of little value. President Trump is utilizing the new political strategy of not doing anything to damage a lead in the polls. Kay Ivey, Katie Britt, and Dale Strong didn't even engage in any debates and won their elections handedly.
Okay, you are correct, and that's because you are correct in part. So first of all, Katie Britt did go to forums, and she and Mo Brooks don't erase it yet. Katie Britt did go to forums, and there are videos, I've seen them, of her, and it wasn't a true organized and moderated debate, but it was a candidate forum where the two of them stood on a stage and they had to go back and forth. And I've seen video of she and Mo Brooks zinging each other and then saying, no, let me have the microphone back. I want to say my piece on this. And so it wasn't like they were afraid to be in the same room. Governor Ivey, on the other hand, you are correct. She avoided it. And I think largely because it was not seen as something that she was going to be able to do well at. She is past. I've known Kay Ivey for a while, and listen, man, when she was in her prime, she was a humdinger. She'd get up there and she'd have that southern drawl, and she'd say y'all, and she'd just go at it, and she could handle the issues, and she could handle herself on a stage. I don't think she can anymore, and so I think that that was a protectionist issue for her, and it was certainly something that that I think was. Basically, we needed her on a debate stage because I really believe, a lot of people believe right now, that she is sort of riding out her time in office, and that she should have been required to see people, head on. Then the other is, though, Donald Trump and Dale Strong. Yeah, they were in the do no harm mode. But I don't think that you should shy away from these venues, and the other candidates, they don't have any choice. They've got to get on there. They've got to raise their personal profile. They've got to do what they've got to do. I mean, the whole field that ran against Kay Ivey, they continued to have their gatherings and their debates and their public forums, and they did what they did because they had to. They had to show the world who they are. When the incumbent is riding it out and trying to be comfortable and do no harm, that's a strategy. I don't always admire it, but it's a strategy. But the others, they have to. And to your point about, it's just an attack venue, and all they do is attack each other with little substance, I disagree. Are there attacks? Yes. Did a couple of them get a little tiresome, like watching Ramaswamy and Nikki Haley go back and forth and back and forth? Yes. But there's also moments when you recognize that a person got a chance to finally speak to a policy position, and I think that matters, and I don't think it's always about the attacks. I get tired of the attacks, too. I mean, I'm like, come on, y'all. You be grown people. But when you've got somebody talking down about you, it's kind of hard not to reply. So anyway, I'm not sure I answered Gary's questions, but I look at it and think debates are still a worthwhile process, and I believe that a candidate, especially one who people don't know yet, better get out there and do what they got to do to raise their profile. Butters, bro, let's take it to a break. We'll do that right now. We'll come right back and do a tad more on this topic, and then coming up top of the hour, we're going to have the Grand Council with my brethren Jeff Poore and Dale Jackson. Y'all stay tuned. Phil Williams broadcasting from Tuscaloosa. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative and just plain right. Just making common sense like a superpower. Hey, by the way, I got to tell you who else has some like common sense superpower. It's our friends at ZLA Solutions. So ZLA Solutions. Listen, y'all, they are doing like epic good stuff with helping businesses streamline their operations, find their better efficiencies, and oh, by the way, get the people they need in there. So yeah, ZLA Solutions, you can find them on their website at zlausa.com, but ZLA Solutions is really, I mean, they can help you with logistics, warehousing, they can help you with quality control, all that kind of stuff. They bring the solutions to bear, but they also, their bread and butter is finding you the people you need. So if you need, doesn't matter what, blue collar, white collar, no collar, they can find them for you. A few or a many. They just listen, they can do the recruiting, the background checks, the drug testing, every bit of it. And I know these folks personally. I believe in what they do and how they do it. So yeah, ZLA Solutions, their website, zlausa.com. Check them out. That's right, ZLA Solutions at zlausa.com. And by the way, I would greatly appreciate it if you tell them you heard about it on Rightside Radio. All right, we're going to wrap up this segment. Keep in mind, too, coming up here at top of the hour, you know the deal. It's Wednesday. We don't just play the camel and start the day off. No, we also have the Grand Council with my brethren Dale Jackson and Jeff Poore. So, yeah, we'll have the Grand Council here at top of the hour. In the meantime, let me put a wrap on this thing about debating the debates. And I know everybody's got their opinions, and I get it. I mean, I personally was peeved when Kay Ivey didn't bother to debate anybody. And I felt like it was necessary because it would have showcased whether or not she really was still fully capable of holding the office. But she didn't. I would have liked to have seen, a true organized debate with Katie Britt and the others. But at the same time, I do know she went to candidate forums and she stood on the stage and she and others, went back and forth on issues, but it was not a moderated debate. But I was glad she was at the forums. Kay Ivey didn't do that. But then at the same time, now we're looking at, okay, what about Biden? Wouldn't you love to see whether or not Biden still has the capability of standing on a stage and responding to the issues or responding to, I don't know, maybe even the insults or the accusations from somebody who is opposing his nomination or, for that matter, opposing his presidency? I would. Right now, the talk is that Joe Biden is basically a figurehead, that he is no longer capable of holding the office. And I'll just be honest with you. I think the only way you prove that is if Joe Biden gets on a stage and goes toe-to-toe with somebody else. The question is, will he? And I think the answer is no, he's not. I don't think he has the capability of doing it. Listen, I'm going to go ahead and put a wrap on that. I'm going to go ahead and hand a microphone to our friend Todd Stacy, who just walked in the room. Todd Stacy from Alabama Daily News. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm kind of pulling up the caboose late to the I think I'm the last one getting into Tuscaloosa for the debate, but happy to be here.
You check in, get your credentials okay?
No, that's the next step. I checked into the hotel, put my bags down, and saw you broadcast it. I was sorry to be late, but
you're good. So are you in the spin room tonight? We only got about a minute and a half, 2 minutes here.
Yeah, doing a couple of media hits. We've got some reporters here covering it and everything. Yeah. I'm really more just an observer and offering analysis when asked. But look, when somebody invites you to a presidential debate in Alabama, you go.
Did I see
right?
you were on Newsmax last night or something?
News Nation.
Okay.
Right, our host for this evening. Man, that was really cool. It's good, really good opportunity for them. I can't say I've ever really watched much News Nation, but last night I did, and tonight we will. So good opportunity for them.
Yeah, I totally agree. I had John Wall in here earlier, and was congratulating him on getting the national platform brought to Tuscaloosa. I mean, I think it's a big deal.
Huge deal. I mean, only 4 debates, and we're one of them. It's a big deal. Look, we all wish Donald Trump was here. No question about it.
Yep.
Maybe he'll surprise all of us, but it's still a huge deal, and John Wall deserves a lot of credit for bringing it to Alabama.
I agree with that. So let me ask you this: with like 30 seconds left here, the debate so far in this has been debating the debates. Are debates worthwhile? Your thoughts, quick.
Yes, of course. I mean, I want to see the candidates debate. I want to see Nikki Haley versus Ron DeSantis and what sort of vision they have for the country. I care less about the attacks and, I got this barb and I got this barb. I want to see what do they bring to the table? What kind of president would they be? So I love the debates. I understand if your mind is made up, it may not be. good for you. But yes, I'm pro debate, as many debates as possible.
I totally agree. Well, listen, brother, we're about to head to a break. Thanks for popping in on us.
You
I've got to
bet.
go to a scheduled thing here right after the top of the hour. But that's Todd Stacy
All right.
from Alabama Daily News. And Todd, they can find you at
ALDailyNews.com and Capital Journal, Friday nights at 7:30, Sundays at noon.
All right. Thanks. Todd Stacy. Have a great night, brother. We'll see you around. All right, folks, listen. I believe I hear music playing. I do. All right, it's time. We're headed to a break. Coming right back, the Grand Council. Me, Dale Jackson, Jeff Poor, singing each other with questions. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama's syndicated news talk leader, Phil Williams, here live in the special Right Side studio down here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, covering down on all the issues. And yeah, like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to hour numero 3. So 3 hours. I mean, the first two just flew by. Well, this is Wednesday. You know the deal. Wednesdays, we do certain things like we play the camel at the beginning of the show, but also at 4 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon, we have this thing we call the Grand Council, where I got two guys who have been doing radio longer than me. One of them you have to blame for me even being here at all. But yeah, so let me just take the moment, call the roll, one of whom is breathing right next to me. So I'll just go, yeah, I hear you breathe in that microphone. Dale Jackson, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing fantastic. Whoop!
Oh, stand at ease. And then calling in right now on the line with us, I didn't bother saying where all you're from, by the way, 770 AM 92.5 FM WVNN, also writing for Yellowhammer News, Dale Jackson.
Oh,
Okay. And then from FM Talk 106.5 down yonder in Mobile, does his own show down there, the Jeff Poor Show. He's also the editor-in-chief of 1819 News. On the line right now, Jeff Poor, how you doing?
I am present.
You are so lackluster. We're sitting over here excited, both of us wearing a tie and everything looking shipshape, and then you go, I am present.
why is Jeff not here? I thought he was like the guy in Alabama politics. That's how I always viewed him, and now Jeff Poor's out here and not even showing up. He's big time in us is what he's doing.
That's what it is. He's like the Donald Trump who doesn't come to the debate.
That's right. He said Trump's not going to be there, I'm not going to be there.
All right, well, I pronounce a quorum, so Butters, go ahead and hit it.
Assemble the Grand Council.
Ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. All right, Jeff, since you're not here with us enjoying the soiree, I'm going to let you go first. What you got?
What do you guys make of Katie Britt's endorsement of Trump today?
Well, you stole my question. So Katie Britt comes out and endorses pretty much the shoe-in. Now, you know, I'll be honest, Katie Britt also got Donald Trump's endorsement during her campaign, which was the huge scandal because it had been Mo Brooks' endorsement and then swapped over. So I think it would have been almost bad form if she had not returned the favor, especially with it polling so high. But why does she wait? That's the question. I don't know. Why does she wait? Maybe she waited till her book got out first. I don't know. But I think it's clear that the Alabama delegation is, in line right now for Donald Trump. Dale Jackson, your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, she waited until this.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff Poor didn't think it was important, but Katie Britt clearly did, and this debate is the place to make that news.
You're bringing the Tuscaloosa connection in.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama. The debate's in Alabama. It's at Tuscaloosa. I mean, this is her campus. I mean, yeah, I think I think that's what that's all about, and I think it's a pretty smart move by everyone involved. And it also gets that question asked right in the middle of all this coverage about what's going on in the state. You say to them, hey, the junior senator, the very popular junior senator, endorsed. So what's that all about?
Well, so what are your thinkings there, Jeff Rowe? What do you think?
I kind of think I don't know. I don't know why wait so long if this wasn't like that smart. I wonder if Katie got anything out of the deal. Senator Britt, I should say, got anything out of the deal by endorsing him today or whatever. But you gotta, why not have done this when Trump was in Alabama earlier this year? Why today? Why now? Why this sudden decision?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's a number of reasons. We don't know what negotiations are going on. I don't know what she might have gotten out of it. She's safe. There's no election pending for her right now. At the same time, she doesn't have anybody nipping at her heels, and she's seen as being extremely popular even on the national level. But I don't know, man. I do think Dale's got a point though with Tuscaloosa. Hang on a second though, with Tuscaloosa. And granted, we didn't know about the Tuscaloosa debate until about a month and a half ago, but she may have decided to hold until everybody came to her hometown. But who knows? What you're about to say?
But what happened to I can't endorse anybody because I'm on the special blue ribbon committee with the RNC? Did that go away? Like what happened to that justification?
Tuscaloosa.
I don't, I don't have an answer for you. Maybe she got something cleared through ethics, or maybe she had somebody advise her that no longer matters, or maybe that was a front for something else. I don't know. But bottom line is,
maybe maybe that was just the worst excuse ever not to endorse and be told to endorse.
I don't know. So you feel conspiracy here, Jeff? Is that what you're saying?
Here's what I think happened. She didn't want to endorse what everybody else was. She wasn't going to be bossed around. She wasn't going to be told what to do. So she was going to do it on her own terms, and this is her own terms right now.
It's not only her own terms; it's her own hometown. So I think Dale's nailed it. That the timing was Tuscaloosa.
Why do y'all keep calling Tuscaloosa her home? Why do y'all keep calling Tuscaloosa her hometown?
I know she's from the Wiregrass, but the Brits are from Coleman. But nonetheless, she's definitely considered to be Tuscaloosa material.
Stomping grounds. Is that better?
Yeah, you feel better about that? Like she used to be here. Is that better? Is this really that controversial, Jeff?
She should run for Congress in the 2nd district.
Oh my God! So all right, so he's feeling bad for not being here in Tuscaloosa right now, is what I'm sensing. So Dale, you got a question for us? What do you got?
Yeah, he's kind of bitter. I like it though. Watching Anthony Blinken and Joe Biden today both make references to American blood and American troops when talking about the Russians. The President of the United States is talking about American troops, and the Secretary of State is talking about American blood being shed in a war with the Russians as a way to entice people to support more for Ukraine, even though we know the outcome of Ukraine has never been in doubt. It has always been exactly the same. Russia going to get something, then they're going to stop killing them. And that's how it's going to go. Now we've lost 700,000 Ukrainians and tons of money for nothing. And now we're going to watch as Joe Biden and Anthony Blinken blame Americans. What is this like extortion? Is that what they're trying to do?
It's absolutely extortion. They're doing everything they can right now to bend the congressional votes to voting for a new package of aid for Ukraine. And I don't know if you saw it or not today, but Merrick Garland, who every time he comes out and does any kind of presser, looks like a friggin' mortician standing there. But he brings charges today, war crimes charges against several Russian combatants for allegedly, I don't doubt it, but torturing Ukrainian soldiers on the battlefield. Mm-hmm. I thought the timing of that was so pitifully obvious. There's no effort there to do anything until the day when they need a vote on Ukrainian aid packages. And oh, by the way, then we're going to come out as the U.S. DOJ and bring war crimes charges against somebody from Russia.
That's weird.
And then Biden does his speech where he talks about, Putin. I'll say it again, Putin. He can't win. But Biden has yet to present a plan. He just wants more money. And that's the downfall here. Make a frickin' plan and tell us what the milestones are. What is the actual end game? Not just, we're in it for the long haul. What is this checkbook for? And that's where he's losing the argument right now with conservatives. Jeff, chime in here. What do you got?
These guys look like Ayn Randian villains or something. Like, it's just like they're caricatures of what we make fun of when we talk about socialism, the left, and big government. And, like, bringing war crimes charges today against the Russians was just so hollow and so blatantly, like, obvious what's going on here. I don't think it's going to work. Republicans and conservatives are pretty dug in on this one.
And it's like when another country does stuff with our soldiers, like, cool. Come enforce it.
Yeah. And oh, by the way, it's Russians. And I think it was Russians who were actually fighting with Wagner Group. So they probably got them out of a jail cell somewhere to go on the battlefield. And I'm not trying to dismiss what may or may not have happened. But hollow, the word that Jeff used, is absolutely on point. It was just ridiculous. All right, I got time for a quick question here. Gosh, can I do this one, a quick question? All right, so today, I didn't see this coming. Maybe y'all heard rumors, but Kevin McCarthy resigned from Congress. So we've got the former Speaker of the House, who was the first one ever ousted from his position, is now saying, I'm not going to finish out my term. I'm gone January 1. What is your thought? I mean, I got some thoughts about where he's going. Where do you think he's going? Is he just going to the House? Is he going fishing? Is he going to spend time with his family? Is he really got something else going on, Dale?
I don't know. I don't know why he would do this. He was elected to that position. And unless there's some health issue, I just don't think it's appropriate to walk away because you're sad that people are being mean to you and that you tried to elbow people and they didn't like it. I don't know. This reflects very poorly on him as a human being.
Jeff, your thoughts?
He's cashing out. He's about to make some big dough, working on K Street or Fox News or somewhere. That's what's going on here. Why stick around and be a backbencher? It's pretty obvious. What it does, though, it really screws up the Republican majority because now they've lost Santos, McCarthy. That margin is getting thinner and thinner.
Yeah, it's getting way, way thinner, and that's my point, is this is the guy who, as Speaker of the House, told us how many times that the slim majority we have to work with is so important that we get more Republicans in here, and now he's leaving before his term is up. I look at this as, I think he's almost setting up the people who got him out of office for failure so that he can go out and be a recruiter, because he made some allusions in his exit statements to he'll be out there helping raise money and do good things to bring in more great candidates, which tells me that what he's probably going to do is go be some kind of congressional recruiter and bundler. And at the same time, oh, by the way, you just made it harder for the people you left behind to do their job. So now you can recruit candidates against the guys who couldn't get their job done. That's what I see happening here. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but I'm pretty sure Kevin McCarthy knows exactly what he's doing, and that's the end game for him. All right, round one. Ooh, that was a good one. Round one, the Grand Council. I'm sitting here with Dale Jackson in Tuscaloosa, and Jeff Poor's on the line with us. Round two coming up after this break. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Just going right back to round number 2. Grand Council. I'm here with Dale Jackson as we are broadcasting live from Tuscaloosa, him with WVNN out of Huntsville and Yellowhammer News. And on the line with us, we got our brethren Jeff Poor, who's with his own show and FM Talk 1065 down in Mobile, as well as being the editor-in-chief of 1819 News. I think, Jeff, your first round 2. What you got, man?
So word on the street is this: gambling is coming in the legislature, but as a sweetener, because they're not going to have enough Republican votes, they're going to have to court Democrats with, wait for it, Medicaid expansion. Is it what will it look like in our world, a conservative Inc. out here in Alabama, if the Alabama legislature passes gambling with Medicaid expansion writing as a rider?
Oh, Lord God! You just combined all of the hates. Dale Jackson, you first, man. What do you got?
Seems untenable. I mean, it just really does. Doesn't seem like something they could put together. I don't think they can get enough bodies to make that happen. They've all openly talked bad about it. Arthur Orr openly talking bad about Medicaid expansion for years.
Yeah.
Not to say it can't happen and the right deal can't be cut, but is gambling the carrot that they dangle over the heads of the people who think Medicaid expansion is a bad idea? I don't think that works.
Yeah, and do you do that, by the way, in a year when you've got people like Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump, and others on the national stage talking about conservative policy issues and how important it is to recognize the states are where things are at, and while we're going to do good things at national level, states' rights are important, and yada yada yada, and then they're going to turn right around and abuse that whole mantra and do something that is, of course, they did the gas tax, and they also, they did some of the most feckless things I've seen, like that awful cannabis bill, which, say what you want about medical marijuana, the way they put it together was just absolutely asinine.
I love it.
So Jeff, your own question, what do you got?
Well, so you lose the hard right on gambling no matter what in the legislature.
Yep.
They figure they're going to lose the hard right anyway on Medicaid expansion, but can you cobble together enough Republicans and Democrats to get there? And that's what they think they can do in the House. I don't know about the Senate.
Well, see, even the moderates, and there are some, even the moderates in the state House and Senate, they know that it's going to be hard for them to defend, especially when you combine the two. And Lord God, you get that in one. And now maybe they're saying, we'll let you have a straight up or down vote and see if you can get your Medicaid expansion. I mean, I can see them trying to make that argument. If they're going to make a push for it, that's an entirely different, case study. And I just don't see it happening. Next question. We've got about 3 minutes left. Dale, what you got?
A new state house where Jeff Poor will hang out. He'll hang out there, but he won't hang out with us here. But a new state house going, what is it, the $350 million potentially? Yeah. You were in the legislature. Is there any way that this does not piss off the people? I mean, is there any way that the people aren't? They spent $350. I mean, no matter what doesn't get done, the response is, well, they could give themselves a new state house.
Well, all right. So first of all, I think all three of us know the current state house sucks. I mean, it's
but I don't have to work there, so I don't care.
I know, but I would work there, and like after 3 hours, my eyes would burn because there's so much mold in the building. So the current state house definitely has to go. I got no problem saying that.
Right.
$330 million is a big price tag. Hopefully, they're going to build a legacy building that will survive the next 75 to 100 years. But then the other piece of this is, I know what they're going to say. As much as I'm down on Bronner and the way RSA does things, they're letting this thing be a RSA expense that we're going to lease back with the option of buying it outright in 20 years. It's I don't know, man. It's a hard sell. But when you look at what it takes to get the people in front of their elected officials, that building is not conducive to public meetings. That building is not conducive to public health. So they got to do it eventually, and I guess it's time now, but with budget surpluses. Jeff, chime in, brother.
Yeah, I agree with the state house. It's got to be done. It had to be done eventually.
Jeff?
I don't like the RSA angle at all, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and I hate that phrase, by the way. One of my least favorite phrases in the whole world is "it is what it is." But I hear you. All right, last question with maybe a minute. Ivy League presidents excoriated in front of a congressional committee could not possibly say anything to address the question of whether or not it was a violation of their code of conduct for Jewish students to be threatened with death by other students on campus. Do any of them resign? What do you think? Do any of them lose their positions? Real quickly, Dale.
I think it's possible. I mean, the people are pretty angry about this, I think, across the board, members of Congress. The only people that they're appeasing is the far left. And they've always known they are anti-Semites. We've known that. Now they're just saying it out loud. If I go out on this campus here and start talking about killing black people and pushing them in the sea or whatever, people are going to know who said it, when they said it, and what they did about it. For some reason, this is different. I don't get it, and I'm glad these people are being raked over the coals.
I am too. And I got thoughts on, I think they're going to wind up losing their jobs if and when they begin losing their endowments from their major constituents. Jeff, real quick, as the music's playing, what do you think? Are they going to lose their jobs?
No, it'll just become an all leftist elitist institution.
All right. Jeff Poor, FM Talk 106.5 and 1819 News. Dale Jackson, WVNN up in Huntsville and Yellowhammer News. And little old me coming right back for the last half hour. We will be right back. Time I've walked in the front door at a Southern Immediate Care facility, it's always clean, professional, friendly. Listen, those folks are just spot on. They get you in, get you out. They'll see all ages. I'm talking pediatric to geriatric. So, yeah, Southern Immediate Care, open 7 days a week with locations all over our listening area. I mean, places like Gadsden, Anniston, Atala, 5 locations around the Birmingham area, 2 newest ones in Chelsea and Hoover. So, Southern Immediate Care. You need something on a Saturday morning even. You look them up, find the location nearest to you, and head on down. They will take care of you. And oh, by the way, they are owned by a Rightside ruffian, let me just tell you. So Southern Immediate Care, proud to have them as a sponsor on the show. And tell them you heard about it on Rightside. All right, I can see I got a caller on the line, so let me just jump on there real quick. Jeff Rowe from Indiana. Jeff, how you doing, buddy?
Poor Butters, he's being baptized by fire today. Hopefully John gives him a good grade because he deserves one.
He does, man. That's just, people have no idea. I mean, I sit over there. I'm in the Army. I was what they call a push-to-talk guy. I was the guy who, if I said I need to talk to headquarters, my radio man would say, "Hey, sir, you know, frequency modulation and the sunspots and yada, yada." And I'd say, if I push the little button, will I talk to somebody? That's all I want to know. Well, the same way in the studio, I don't know what half that stuff does. And I've got guys like Butters and before him, Boomer, and I'm so thankful. So there, I said it. I'm grateful about that. What's on your mind, Jeff Rowe?
Good people. Hey, let's talk about Kevin McCarthy. Hey, you know, this is the reason why he is out, because you know, we're going to have to stop this. You know, well, he's next in line stuff and everything. You know, and I think that's what it. We haven't had a good Speaker of the House since Newt Gingrich, and I think the one we got in there now is probably going to do a pretty good job. I hope he can hold up his end. You know, I think he's the real McCoy anyway.
I would agree with that. I mean, everything that I know of him so far, Speaker Johnson, I would agree. I think he's legit, and part of that is I trust some of the people that tell me they know him personally. And they say he is absolutely who he appears to be. But yeah, so where do you think Kevin McCarthy's going?
Oh, he's going to the big bucks. I mean, you, like I say, a congressman don't make much money, you know. He could be making a couple $100,000 being a congressman and traveling and everything, and he basically doesn't have any power anymore. So yeah, he's going to be a lobbyist, and he'll end up on Fox and a few other places and stuff, and he'll get a good living out of it.
He will, and you know, I'm speculating that somewhere along the line that he's got some kind of a gig where he's going to be a recruiter, and you know, and you know, just spending time out there raising money, because he has been a prolific fundraiser. I will be honest, but he has not been the guy who presided over victory at any stretch. The midterm elections were a failure. And in terms of, you know, what was expected, and then the effort he led got derailed quickly when he's the first one ever taken out of the speaker's position. So yeah, I just think he's probably going somewhere where he can recruit moderates. That's what I'm concerned. Is that his goal now is to get back at all those guys who took him out with their agenda-driven politics and find some moderates. What do you think?
I'm thinking you're exactly right. But what I'm afraid of, you know, the ones that make the most money and everything, I'm worried about what they have to promise to raise that money. And you know, sometimes you sell your soul to the devil for a little bit of cash, and that usually don't work out well.
Well, I tend to agree, and I'm concerned about where he might be going and when. But I'll tell you what else, I'm also a little ticked, and I say that because I get it. I mean, is he taking his ball and going home? I don't know, but the reality is this: he's the guy who told us how hard it was to preside over a slim majority, and he just made it slimmer because he's not waiting until his term is done. He's leaving first of the year. So, and don't tell me he doesn't have a contingency plan in place for himself. I know he does, but he just made it harder for all the guys he's leaving behind.
Yeah, I think he's destroying his credibility. I wouldn't put very much worth into him personally.
Well, we'll see where it goes. Where are you at right now, Jeff? Have you passed Buc-ee's yet?
Yep, I'm already in Tennessee here looking at the twilight. It's starting to go down already.
All right, man. Be careful on the road. We love you. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
Have a good one, Phil, tonight. Hey, photobomb some people now, like Dale Jackson's supposed to be doing. That's what his plan is to be.
Dale's sitting right here. I'll tell him you said so. You're living for the photobomb apparently tonight. We know you are. All right, we'll take care, Jeff. We'll talk to you soon, buddy. I am pleased to announce, by the way, I told you we'd have drop-ins today, but I am pleased to announce that here in the secret studio, the bunker in Tuscaloosa, that our buddy Yaffe just walked in the door. Hey, bud, how you doing?
Good. I like how you're like in your suit, but you're like you got your sleeves rolled up.
I'm business.
You're ready to work. I'm ready to do this. I like it.
I'm sweating. Do what?
That's a politician look.
Dale Jackson's in the background calling me a politician.
Oh, man.
I'm a recovering politician. Thank you very much. Still have the scars.
Well, yeah, old habits die hard, I guess. Yeah.
Well, what you got going on tonight? You gonna be in the debate room? Where are you gonna be? Are you gonna be roundabout?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to talk to DeSantis. Give him some pointers, maybe. That'd be awesome.
So if you had a moment where you could ask any one of the candidates the legit question that you wish somebody would have already asked them, do you have one in mind? Is there anything in particular you're like, somebody needs to gig that guy on whatever?
Oh, man.
Like I'm looking at Chris Christie and going, I want to know, sir, do you really believe you could be president? I don't think that anybody believes except maybe him.
Yeah, but he's going to answer yes. I think he really does believe it. He has that ego. That's how Chris Christie is.
Speaking of which, I think that Chris Christie is in this thing because everybody else is paying for his campaign to say all the things about Trump that they can't say.
Wait, so like Nikki Haley and DeSantis under the table a little bit. Hey, say this. I don't want to say this, but say this.
All right, and then, so we got 4 on the stage tonight.
Right.
Ramaswamy, DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and Chris Christie. I'm looking at the picture in my mind that I just saw of them all 4 on the stage, and I'm counting from right to left. But tonight, who do you see needs to come out and swing in the hardest? Who do you think?
Needs to come out and swing the hardest? I guess DeSantis, right? I mean, we know Vivek's going to come out and swing. He always does. Nikki Haley's kind of gotten some momentum.
Yeah.
So DeSantis has got to get a lot of attention. But honestly, I don't know what any of them can really do at this point to beat Trump. I mean, I just feel like they're vying for second place.
Yeah.
And I'm a DeSantis guy.
Yeah.
I love DeSantis. I would endorse him if my endorsement mattered or anything. But I just feel like it's Trump's to lose right now. And that's just the reality.
Oh, it is Trump's to lose. And I have been saying, though, and here's the thing that I think a lot of people forget, not this group. I mean, the 3 of us sitting here, we talk this stuff every day. But there's a lot of folks out there like, why are we even having a debate? Why does it even matter? And I made the point earlier because a year is a lifetime in politics.
That's true.
And Donald Trump has got every gun in the world pointed at him right now. And I think he's going to wind up being the nominee. I think that a second Trump presidency will probably have policies that I agree with, and I feel comfortable heading down that road. And I would vote for my neighbor's house cat before Joe Biden. So bottom line is Trump's probably the guy.
Is that cat a Democrat though? Yeah. Oh, we have to make sure. Ask that house cat.
Yeah, they run apolitically.
Oh, okay.
But my point though is, but everybody else on that stage, better have their game face on because anything could happen to Trump between now and then. A, he's 78. B, he's got all these legal battles that if one of them catches hold, it could derail his
Which is
campaign,
possible. That's
which is
very
possible. And then on top of that, the reality is you don't know what the rest of something could drop out of the sky and happen, and you better have a plan B candidate.
Well, and I think that is what's going on right now. I think DeSantis, Haley especially, even Vivek, they're kind of wanting to be mostly second place. And they're just kind of there just in case something happens to Trump. That's why they'll criticize Trump a little bit, but it's still not the full-throated criticism of Trump that it would be against any other frontrunner. Like if this were 2016, I think the criticisms of Trump would be a lot harsher from the other candidates than it is. I mean, besides Christie, but.
Yeah, he would also already have nicknames for all of them and everything else too. Like when
he already does.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sanctimonious, which
has he got one for Ramaswamy? He doesn't have one for Ramaswamy, does he? I haven't heard him pick on Vivek at all.
That's true.
Probably his advisor
Don't give him
said,
any ideas.
Don't touch that one. I mean, that one.
He does kind of say it in a way, Ramaswamy or something like that. It's like how Trump does it. So I get Just the way it is. I feel like Trump is just a once in a lifetime figure. He just has this charisma that it would take either him dying or him like being put away in jail or something.
Or finishing out the last of his term and being term limited from doing anything else.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And truthfully, I said before that Trump is he's still the front runner. He still has his own base, but he's also not yet achieved the point where you can consistently say that 50% of the Republican electorate really wants him back, because 50% of them are looking elsewhere right now. So there's granted he's going to have to win back some clout, and we cannot be in the position of a Trump nomination and people stay home because they're mad. We can't do that. We can't afford that. We've got to get Joe Biden out of that office.
Well, I mean, and it seems like the competition is almost to get the other side to stay home more. Who's worse, kind of thing. I mean, seriously, or try to scare your own base to come out. I mean, that seems to be the strategy on both sides. The Biden team's going to go, Trump's going to be a dictator, and the Trump team's going to go, I mean, I am way better than Biden. and that's the plan. I mean, it really is.
That's so anybody who runs against Biden can have bumper stickers that say, "I'm better than Biden." That's all you got to have.
I mean, at least with Trump, I think Trump is worse than everyone except Biden when it comes to the polls.
There's actually precedent for that. So my son told me the story. And I know them. I like their music. Better Than Ezra is the name of a band.
I've heard of that.
A progressive rock band, and they're good. They're really good. But their name, Better Than Ezra. And I asked him one day, I said, I like their stuff, but why is their name Better Than Ezra? And he said, I heard that they were at a battle of the bands back when they were teenagers, and they were just getting started, and they went, and they didn't even have a name, and they were told, you can't be in the competition without a name. And they said, what's your name? Well, the band ahead of them was Ezra. And they said, we're better than Ezra.
Nice.
And they won, and they went on to get a recording contract, and all of it was good.
I mean, that'd be a cool bumper sticker, though. Better than Biden.
Better than Biden. I like it. I'll my neighbor's house cat, better than Biden.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, hey, we got to take a break, brother. We'll do that right now. Last break of the day. We'll come right back and wrap up this show, and then we got to figure out where we're going. I got to pack up this studio and put it back in its box and figure out where this so-called spin room is. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Well, I mean, y'all like making common sense like a superpower, saving the world one soundbite at a time, making it cool to be a conservative. All of it. All of it. And I got to tell you about who else is also doing a pretty cool job at what they do. That's our friends at the Elm Foundation, ELM, the Elm Foundation. They're based out of Huntsville. But the Elm Foundation, they're a 501c3, and they are doing amazing work at what I would call restoring lives. I mean, literally getting people off the streets, helping them find their self-worth and their dignity again by giving them back their capabilities for productivity and, helping them find the assets and the places and the job opportunities that they need. But literally not just like throwing money at it and hoping it sticks like the government would do. No, I'm talking about with conservative principles attached. They are walking people through life. They're giving them accountability. They are giving them milestones, and they're changing lives on a regular basis. So the Elm Foundation, I had them in studio a while back, interviewed them in studio. It was just awesome, and I'm just proud to have them as a sponsor here on the show. But the Elm Foundation, ELM, that's Elm Foundation. You can find them on their website at Elm HSV, because they're in Huntsville, elmhsv.org. Check them out. By the way, it's year-end time. If you run a 501c3, you know that year-end time is when you're hoping that people who are thinking about their charitable giving will consider you. And I would just tell you the Elm Foundation is one you might want to look at. The Elm Foundation at elmhsv.org. Check them out and tell them you heard about it on Rightside Radio. Butters, I can't see the text line, man. What do we got? Anything going on? Any trends? Any things that people are chiming in on?
Well, Mike from Montgomery actually had a couple. He said, I heard McCarthy was joining Rightside Radio, and then he followed up, or maybe the right show or the new radio show Swapside Radio.
Swapside Radio. Mike, I have no knowledge of this, and I disavow that Kevin McCarthy is going to be a part of the show. He's welcome to come on and talk, but he cannot own the microphone. There's this no.
And
what else you got?
And Brian from Huntsville said that cats get free food, free Medicare or medical care, and sleep all day. Yes, cats are Democrats.
Absolutely Democrats.
All right,
yes,
John.
And they'll also disown you when they don't like you.
Yes. All right, John from Huntsville. The grades are in. Butters gets an A+ today for saving the show. And Phil, your performance wasn't perfect today, but you earned enough extra credit points with your awesome monologue and multiple great guests that you still get to keep your A+. So Butters, congratulations. You were today's winner. Phil, I hope you have a great time in Tuscaloosa tonight.
John, thank you. I will point out that when we went down on dead air time, I was the one who refreshed my computer. Just saying, I did have enough wherewithal to recognize that the two things that I've always been told is, A, please, sir, did you try rebooting? And the other is, did you try refreshing? I refreshed, and it worked, and I was refreshed as a result. So there's that. What else you got, man?
Well, let's see here. John from Madison, very, very subtle, but to the point. A turd is better than Biden. That's
we've been
it. Full
eating
stop.
a turd sandwich for the last 3.5 years. I know that. So yeah, that's 2024 can't come fast enough. But I do recall the disappointment that I had at the midterm cycle elections. And how much I really anticipated that we might have a greater majority to include maybe the U.S. Senate. I think part of it is on the Republican side, we've got to have new leadership. I'm excited about House leadership right now. I'm not going to miss Kevin McCarthy, even though I don't have a total grievance with him, but I'm not going to miss him because he never stood out to me as being the guy who was going to carry the agenda from the truly conservative position. But in the Senate, I don't know what it takes to get rid of McConnell. But sooner or later, it's going to have to happen. I mean, the guy is having blankouts while he's on the microphone. He's like the Walking Dead himself sometimes. And the very idea that he presided over that midterm cycle where we didn't see a bit of a change in the U.S. Senate when we should have, and his response was, well, I never guaranteed you a red wave in the midterm. That's just awful. Absolutely awful. All right, man. What else you got, Butters? Anything else?
In about the last 10 seconds, thoughts on why Tuscaloosa was chosen?
Why Tuscaloosa? Well, first of all, you mean in terms of why it was
for
Alabama
the debate,
or why
for
it
the
had to be
debate.
Tuscaloosa?
Yeah,
with
Tuscaloosa specifically.
I think because, it's the University of Alabama, and granted, I'm an Auburn fan, but I can still say it is considered the capstone university for the state of Alabama. And I think that it had the facilities and it had the notoriety to make it happen. So there you go. All right, Butters, excellent job, man. Audience, we love you. I am headed off to the debate. I'll give you a full rundown tomorrow. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned to tomorrow at 2. We'll talk to you then.